Welcome to this next part of the playthrough of Pac-Man World, in which we tackle the Ruins levels. Crisis Cavern. This is going to be a big crisis, isn't it? This level's going to be such a big crisis, isn't it? It's going to be really dangerous. Such a big crisis. Yes, the Ruins levels. A lot of people say that this is their least favorite level in the game, and while I don't really agree with that, I can kind of see why. It's one of the darker levels in such a colorful game. It gets more gritty at times, and it does get a little more repetitive than the other levels. And the boss, well, we'll get to that in a second. Waka, 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 waka. Extra life! Yeah! Waka waka. But anyways, well, I personally don't dislike these levels. Like I said, I can see why people dislike them. I think that there is a charm to them. Again, the levels are dark and grittier, but I'm personally down with that. I think they do a good job of making them dark, but in a way where it accentuates, the parts that are colorful. There are some really colorful parts in these levels, and I think that those parts really look awesome. Especially, old PlayStation graphics. When they're at their most colorful, it looks awesome in a way that a lot of modern video games have a hard time recapturing, especially modern kid ones. Something about them, it's like, I know using the word colorful over and over gets a little repetitive, but they're colorful in a unique way. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe it, so I'm just not going to describe it. How about that? You're just going to have to go without my description. Dot chain. Another thing about these levels that, again, doesn't bother me, but it bothers other people is these levels get a bit more backtracking heavy than other levels do in terms of, getting the fruit doors to get the, letters going 100%. Oh, crud. Getting 100% in these worlds, it's a bit more tedious than other levels. There's nothing really hidden about it, but there is a lot of backtracking. I'll just leave it at that. Luckily, I'm going for 100% in this level rather than in the next level, because in the next level, it is really, really irritating at times getting 100%, because there's this one specific section that you have to do a lot of backtracking in, and wait, okay, I actually just remembered. I was about to say I wasn't going to be doing that section, but I hate you, Ghost. I hate you with a passion. I love the ghosts in this game. My favorite thing about them is the fact that they dance whenever you die or whenever they hit you. It's another thing that World 2 didn't bring back. World 2, if they hit you, they just kind of keep going around. If you die, same thing. But in this game, they start flat out just dancing with joy whenever you die. And I love that. Why didn't World 2 bring that back? That was hilarious. But, oh well, no matter. As I was saying, that one section in the next level I was talking about, I actually do have to go through, because I forgot that section isn't for letters, it's actually required to get the key. Yeah, there's big, section of the level that seems optional, where there's a lot of backtracking that you think is for 100%. Nope, it's mandatory, you have to do it to beat the game, but, just whatever. We'll get to that when we get to that. But one thing I do like about these levels is I love the music. Now, it's not as necessarily, catchy or, happy-go-lucky as the other levels, and a lot of other levels in the game have, a good, beat with it you can kind of bob your head to. Well, these ones don't do that, necessarily. They are some of the more atmospheric levels, but not in necessarily a Blanche and Earthquake, because, I know a lot of people that don't like platformers where they try to be so atmospheric that there's no, catchiness or memorableness to them. But I feel like these the soundtracks right here do a good job of not, being so atmospheric to the point where there's no melody. It's still catchy and joyful to listen to, and I love the part of this song where all the instruments drop off and it's just bass. That part I always found so epic. It's played several times already, but next time it comes up, I'll mute my talking out and I'll turn that up. I don't know why, I just love that part there. Okay, there's nothing up there, I thought there was. Steady. A lot of spiders in this area. So we gotta be careful. We don't want to have agoraphobia. Wait, arachnophobia. Oh, here's the base part. I know that melody is not mind-blowing. It's just like a few notes, but something about it I just find really cool. I don't know why. And you see, this is one of the sections right here that I think is one of the parts where it's just the colors look really cool to me. I don't know why, but again, people are like, this level's too dark. But this is an area where I think the fact that it's dark really lets some colors pop off the screen, like that waterfall right there. Again, it's nothing mind-blowing, especially considering it's a PlayStation 1 game, but I just really like the way it looks. I think that the darkness really accentuates the colors, and I think it's done well in this level. I'm not saying every level should look like this, but I don't get what's so offensive about having one level where it gets a bit more dark. But, whatever. Maybe it's the fact that it's the second level and gets darker. So this level right here, in case you haven't noticed, since I haven't, had much trouble, this level isn't too difficult. The last non-boss level, the Cannonade level, Crazy Cannonade, that level is, I'd probably say, is harder than this one. This one gets a bit easier. The next level, though, is when it gets a little irritating at times. Another thing I'm surprised I haven't mentioned yet is that while you do need the rev roll to go up steep hills, and you will roll down hills if you aren't rev rolling, one thing that I honestly think it was a programming mistake in this game is that if you butt bounce on a steep hill, you do not roll down. You continue to bounce. So say there's a hill that the game designers intended you to roll up, you can just butt bounce up it without a problem. And it gets really, it's almost kind of funny how there are parts where you can clearly tell they meant it to be a really challenging part where you had to use all your rev rolling skills to your best ability, but nope, just bounce, 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 done, no problem. So yeah, that's one thing about this game, that World 2 fixed it. One thing I've always found weird about these sections is the fact that it tries to do like a water, refraction effect by having it where the actual graphics of the underwater walls are like flowing with the current, which when I played this game, back when I was a kid, it always confused me because I was always like, wait, but those walls are made of stone. Why are they like flowing like that? And it wasn't really until later when I realized like, oh, I see what they're trying to do. It just looks weird because the enemies aren't like having a refraction effect. Pac-Man isn't having one, it just looks odd. I see what they're trying to do, but oh well. Should I do the maze? Nah, I'm just going to go ahead. The mazes are cool, but they take a while, and for the sake of the Let's Play, well, you know what a Pac-Man maze is. They have some cool gimmicks, each one in this, but I don't know if it's probably not worth the time. Alright. Now, if you can bounce on a spider while it's hanging, that is really good because it is a lot of times saved. And we can't make that jump, unfortunately. And I think there's a part where I thought that I was missing a fruit or something back here when I really wasn't. And I set off that booby trap by accident. So yeah! Progress! I think. No matter. Moving forward. But yeah, the spiders I feel sometimes in this level, their collision detection can be a little questionable. More so with if like I feel like there are times where I swear I bounced on them properly, but the game swears I got hit and stupid trap got set off. I hate those swinging logs a lot. I hate them. They're just irritating, and once you set them off, you got a moving obstacle that never goes off for the rest of your level experience. And that's pretty annoying, but dang it! Okay, we gotta find a plan B. Bring that helipad down, and let's go find out where that missing fruit is. Let's go find that bell. That thing's still swinging. And if those things hit you, they send you forwards pretty far. So that's always another irritating thing. Oh, yes! Time to head back. Gotta make sure that switch is hit again and make sure everything's in the right position. One thing that the beginning level explains that I didn't show in this video is that not only are there a bunch of switches in this game, but
depending on what color the switch is, it actually has a completely different function. Green switches in this game always work where it changes one thing, or it sets one thing off, and that's it. Like, this door right here, when you hit the green switch, it opens the door, it never goes away, it's never undone. Yellow switches are for things that are timed. Like, when there's a yellow switch and it makes a platform come down for you to get on top of it, well, you better do it quick because that yellow switch is going back up soon. And blue switches they're kind of random. But, oh, here's the worst bonus level in the game. Because I swear if you want to win it, you gotta sacrifice health if you want to win. And I was on my last piece of health right there, so I died right away. All that work to show you the bonus stage when I died right away. Now that is just sad, sad news, folks, isn't it? All that extra work of finding that bell for the last end when it was all in vain. Just know this about the bonus stage. Like I said, I swear you have to sacrifice health to get 100% because you gotta use a helipad to get through these hot steam things, which hurt you. But it's like the steam things go on and off, and based on their timing, I honestly think if you let the timing make the thing go away, you've killed so much time, it's painful. Manic Minds. Now this is where these levels get a bit harder. Although this is one of my favorite songs in the game. Mummy. Gotta kill that mummy. Unlike other enemies, okay, Dot Smash, this is one of those guys that the Dot Smash doesn't get. You gotta rev roll into him. The catch with him is you can't butt bounce on him because he has a spiky point on the top of his head. If you touch it, you get hurt. He doesn't get affected at all. I love this level. Again, this is a level that a lot of people hate, but I just love this level. It's your kind of classic, stereotypical ruins level with lava everywhere and weird structures that have no reason of being there other than looking like ancient ruins. But, it's just all those, ancient ruins cliches just put together, and it's just such a fun level with the few minecarts thrown in that have no reason to be here, but who cares? It's awesome. I feel like Indiana Jones or something. And in case you weren't able to take a guess by the glowing, red-hot, dangerous coals on those minecarts, if you try to get on top of them, let's just say it's going to be painful. The easiest way to get over them is you have to do a butt bounce, because butt bounce actually, I can't remember if I mentioned this yet, I don't think I did, butt bounce actually makes you jump slightly higher than a normal jump would. And if you try to do a normal jump over one of those minecarts, well, your chance of getting over them is not very good. I think it's possible, but it's hard. So yeah, that's my advice for these things, just butt bounce over them. Alright, now this part, you just gotta take your time and do it all carefully. You can't stand around and lolly. You also can't let the camera kill you. Stupid camera, I thought I moved into position. But as I was saying, you can't stand around and lollygag too much, because if you do, well, a minecart's gonna push you into the lava, and let's just say, lava isn't the most comfortable thing to bathe in. I'll just leave it at that. Lava in this game is a guaranteed death. Essentially, it is a bottomless pit. I mean, Pac-Man World 2, lava is a guaranteed death, but at least you can be in it with a steel ball power-up, and if you hit the lava, there's an animation of you burning in it. This game, you just fall right through it. So essentially, it's a bottomless pit there with just a, lava graphic put above it. Although if you touch that lava fall back there, you get hurt, which I find it funny how they took the time to program that, yet they never really make a level gimmick out of it. It's just kind of a background thing. I guess attention to detail maybe, I don't know. But we gotta take this part slowly, because this minecart's going really slowly. Thanks, game, for setting my pace for me. Careful. Careful. Alright, get up there. Yes. Wait, no. Ah, crud. Okay. So yeah, one weird thing about the Pac-Man World games is, like I just mentioned a little bit ago, the whole thing about the butt bounce making you go higher up than the regular bounce. That was something that I think in this game is really cool. It has a bit more, I don't want to say challenge, But it adds another layer of gameplay, you know. When do you do regular jump? When do you take the extra time to do a butt bounce? I feel like it adds something extra. World 2, on the other hand, makes it where your butt bounce is not higher than your regular jump. It is pretty much the exact same height. And then World 3, on the other hand, makes it where your butt bounce is actually shorter than your regular jump. So, crud. I hate those things. But anyways, essentially, it's like they take this gameplay idea that I think is cool, and they don't get rid of it right away, but it's like they slowly make it do the opposite over the games, and I find that kind of weird. But, oh well. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Badoings are awesome. In case I haven't mentioned it, those things are called badoings, which are basically automated trampolines. They serve no purpose other than to get you from point A to point B. They make a satisfying badoing sound. But they don't really add much gameplay, it's just transportation. But they're cool. World 2 is when they really become awesome. And World 3 demotes them back to the automated bits, which I have no idea why they did that, and I also have no idea why I got hurt there. I could go into the Galaxian maze door, but nah, let's just swim here. Another area where the refraction effect looks weird. I know that there's supposed to be like, you know, I'm in an area where there's a bunch of reeds everywhere and it's all, you know, vegetation and all that, but especially in the eyes of someone that grew up playing on a GameCube, I can tell that that's just, you know, textures on a wall. It looks weird for today's standards, but hey, I'm not one to complain about graphics. I can tell the difference between when a game has bad graphics. Speaking of bad graphics, that breathing animation, when his mouth's closed and there's like the two circles on each side, it just looks weird. But as I was saying, bad graphics don't bother me if it's just bad due to, you know, specific reasons. Lazy graphics bothers me, which this game doesn't have, but it's kind of one thing I want to bring up. I'm like the type of person I can tell the difference between bad graphics and lazy graphics. Not just because, like, I know the story about how a game was made, I know that they didn't put time into graphics or they weren't able to have good graphics. Like, you can tell, at least I can, when a game has bad graphics or just lazy ones. This is an example of a game that has bad graphics. And by that I don't mean they're actually bad, but, you know, just compared to today's graphics, they're dated. But they're still good, though. They look nice. And even though at first you kind of think like, wow, that looks really dated, the more you play the game, the less the graphics really, you know, bother you. And eventually you don't really feel like you're looking at a game, you just kind of feel like you're in the world. Because despite being primitive, they're well done. Now, a game like Sonic 06, on the other hand, another Sonic reference, that's an example of lazy graphics. Even when you accept the fact that it's an early Xbox game, you can still tell that there are parts where the graphics are just done badly, and you're just like, ugh, could they have not put a bit more effort into it? Again, gameplay is more important than graphics, but when they're just lazy graphics, that's when I'm just like, okay, what's the deal? And speaking of what's the deal, what was the deal with that death right there? Oh well. Moving on, I guess. Even then, like, when someone, you know, prioritizes gameplay over graphics to the point where the graphics get less focused, even then that doesn't bother me, because, again, I can at least tell that they put some effort into the graphics. They just didn't blow their budget on it. But I'm getting on a digression right now. Gotta be careful not to hit that switch. Which I didn't, so Pac-Man makes it out alive. Once again. Despite the fact that I died. Several times already. Moving on. I hate these... Did I mention I hate those things? Yeah, I believe I did. But that's what I mean. It's like, you set them off, and they just keep on swinging for the rest of your playthrough through the level. It doesn't matter if you die. When you respawn, they are still swinging. I mean, these things right here, it sucks if you set them off, but at least they, you know, they turn off after a while. But those stupid swinging bars with spikes, just keep on swinging. Forever and ever. Now, how do you avoid that? You grab the ledge so it pulls you onto there. How do you do that? I mean, come on. I don't know if it's even possible to do that without getting hit. But no matter. Here's a cool little set piece here. Just jump over it and get hit by weird collision detection. This game does show its age at times, but it's not that bad. This game's aged really well overall. Just a few areas here and there where you're just like, if this was made today, that would be fixed. Or if this was made today, they wouldn't have done that. Either way, time to get these guys. Chomp. And in case you haven't noticed, which I'd be surprised if you haven't because he's been on screen for a long time, that dog right there is our next person we need to save. And you know how that section that I'm walking back to, I'm backtracking right now, you know how that section I died there a few times? Or I think it was just once actually. Maybe it was a bit more, but I was getting hurt there a lot. Well, I'm going to be spending more time in that section because that part I talked about in the first level of this Ruins world where I was talking about the backtracking gets bad, this is that part right there where you gotta do a lot of backtracking to get a key, so you also gotta die a lot of times to get a key. Okay, well at least my checkpoint was right where I died, and again, that's why I hate these swinging things, they never turn off. And they knock you so far sometimes, it's weird. So now we gotta go up here, and now we got the key. So we gotta head down. And for whatever reason, that platform goes back up. I don't know why. Now we can head back here. But even then, even though I was saying that this is one of the parts where the backtracking does get a little annoying, it's not that bad, as people say it is. It's a little frustrating, but it's not terrible. I mean, it took about a minute, but hey, it's not 5 minutes, or it's not even 2 minutes, or it's not bad, it's just not really good, I guess. I don't know. Bark, bark, bark. Pac-Man, you are the best. Thank you for rescuing me. I think that's what it said, but the text went away before I could finish reading it. Oh well. Jump over the ghost. And now we gotta head down here. Just head down, watch out for those spearing ghosts. You don't want to get speared. That would be quite painful. It would penetrate my spirit, I have to say. So let's just head here now. Just watch out for those fallen asteroids, I guess. And just head over to the right, and level complete. And coming up is something that is probably the most infamous thing in this entire game. Many people have died. But I don't even know I'm building up to this talk yet because I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to get to the slot machine. I'm just trying to build it up as much as I can so it's really, really epic when I get there. Of course, many of you who have already played this game know exactly what I'm talking about. The thing I'm talking about is probably the hardest boss in the entire game. Probably the hardest boss on the PlayStation 1. Possibly one of the hardest bosses in all of video games. And it's only the second boss. The second out of 6. That's right, the second boss out of 6. It's the hardest in the whole game. That's right, I'm talking about the unforgivable and infamous. Get ready for it. Here it comes. The terrifying, terrible. Come on, walk in the level. I don't remember how long I stayed here with my pre-recorded footage. There we go. The horrible Anubis Rex. This boss is freaking hard! Luckily for us, I'm good at this boss, but it is still undeniably really hard. This first part isn't too bad. You might die a few times, but it's not horrible. All you have to do is just get to the end of this section without the mummy catching you. I think it's kind of cool how it's a first-person mummy chase, at least first person from the mummy's perspective. If he gets too close to you, just rev roll away. And my advice for getting over those spikes that come out of the ground when you get close to them is just butt bounce over them. It'll slow you down, but remember, you can always rev roll once they get once the mummy gets too close. So now we're in the door, and here comes the second phase. The reason why the boss is so hard. Phase 2 of the Anubis Rex. At first, it doesn't look too bad. You just gotta rev roll on these plates right here, and every time you do it, you'll notice his teeth open and close. That's nice, but more importantly, you will also notice his arms move farther apart from each other every time. See how right now his arms are moving, or his hands are, staying still, but when I rev roll, they open up more and they reveal a heart. You want to rev roll into that heart and crush it. Each time you crush it, you move on to the next phase. There are 4 phases. 4 hits against the heart, and you beat the boss. Each phase, he adds something new. First time there were just, balls going up and down that were on fire, and you had to jump over bottomless pits. Not so bad. You just had to be good at jumping. Here, he introduces tornadoes that come out from that diamond right there, or his face, something, and they try to go to wherever you're going and suck you up and hurt you. That phase isn't that bad. Each time you beat a phase, he'll sometimes either release a health wedge or a extra life. Get them no matter what. They are helpful. You will need whatever you can to get through this boss. This phase, in case you haven't noticed so far, he starts now shooting fireballs onto the platforms with the rev roll place. Jeez, that was close. You gotta make awkward jumps like that to make sure you don't get hit. You gotta jump away from the platform, and while you're in the air, move back on. Phase 4 is so frickin' hard, it took me forever to beat him! I apologize. In this phase, his diamond starts shooting some type of lightning bolt out of the thing. And he just shoots everywhere, just slowly moving across the screen from left to right, covering the entire boss arena. And those things are so hard to avoid. They're so hard to jump around. In fact, I don't think you can jump around it. I was the first person, as far as I'm aware, to upload a no-death run of this onto YouTube. I still have the video up if you want to watch it. But I was, for the longest time, convinced it was impossible to beat this boss without getting hurt. Someone proved me wrong later, and several years later uploaded a no-hit run of the boss, which I'm still blown away by that. But seriously, how do you do that without getting hit? I don't know. But you've finally beaten the hardest boss in the game. Nose clipping through the hand. Such an unsatisfying death animation. He's such a frickin' hard boss. It's frustrating. And he just slowly falls down. There's no big kaboom at the end like there was with the windbag where he falls down. It's just slowly sinks down. Unsatisfying. But I'm sure the feeling of beating a boss that you're stuck on for a while is satisfying enough, so that's probably good enough. But yeah, that boss is done. Hardest boss in the game. Yeesh.